Hello everyone. I was sat drinking a lovely cup of Yorkshire's finest brew, the cricket match on the wireless, when I see a hush kit story chewing out the Blackburn Beverley. It's one of the worst British aircraft and how it was part of the teaching to the world that America was better at making aeroplanes. Hush kit is usually pretty good, but what are they smoking with this? They take a cheap shot by comparing the Blackburn Beverley to the Lockheed C-130 and how poorly the Beverley screened, having come into service just 1 year before. But that seems slightly ridiculous, because surely more relevant is that the Beverley was built to an Air Ministry requirement of 1946. Yeah, that's right, Hushkit. 1946. That's 5 years before the C-130 spec was issued, and 5 years in that era is a lifetime today. Here, for example, is the helicopter that won a later Air Ministry contract for a naval helicopter. Yes, the Beverley was late into service, but that's just because the Air Ministry changed the spec and Blackburn were hardly going to throw the whole thing in the bin, having won an order. Yet the Lockheed C-130A hardly outperformed it, and many rely on at least the C-130E for performance stats. But that's not to talk down the C-130, which is the most successful military transport in the history of aviation. But to suggest that something not equal to the most successful now sucks, well, that just isn't intelligent. It's likely the entire budget for the Beverley wouldn't have covered the lunch bill at Lockheed. And let's remind ourselves of the scale. This is Lockheed's plant. This is Blackburn aircraft. Blackburn are easy pickings for British aviation knockers because, as Bill Gunston says in his Back to the Drawing Board book, their business was to pursue the odd and the difficult requirements of the time. The Air Ministry would chop and change specs, and having won an order, the perfect can't become the enemy of the good. You have a factory to run and mouths to feed. Yet the Beverley was better than that. The Beverley met its requirements, and in tribute to its service and reliability for the British military, Air Chief Marshal Sir Robert Freer hailed the aircraft from his time in Singapore, where it continued in service until 1967. I'll get back to that brew now and leave you with this beautiful picture of the good old days of British aviation. The Beverley was a product of its time and in true British fashion did a solid job with chuffle resource. Remember, it was the C-130H that the RAF replaced them with. It's why Lockheed can afford that big factory.